Hello students, today we are going to learn a new topic, that is a buffer. So what do you mean by a buffer? A buffer is like a cache, that is data area of computer memory, RAM, reserved for temporary storage. For instance, you have probably noticed that you can quickly type a bunch of commands on the keyboard and then just sit back and watch your computer carrying out the commands one after another. This is because the computer stores the keys you pressed in a buffer after doing one command. It goes back to the buffer to get the next one in line. Some programs use the term buffer to refer to the space received in memory for the information of a file you are working with. Actually, you can start a new buffer and put information in it before you save it on disk as a file. But the idea is that the buffer represents a collection of information in memory that is handled as a unit. For example, when you press several keys in quick succession on the keyboard, the commands are stored momentarily in a buffer, allowing the computer to process them in the correct order. Printers, modems, and other devices can have buffers too. If your printer doesn't have a buffer, your computer can only send it a little information at a time, as much as the printer can output immediately. With a buffer, the computer can send a document at full speed at least until the buffer fills up. The information waits in the buffer until the printer is ready to print it. But meanwhile, you can go back to work with your computer. Now, what do you mean by an input buffering? Data transferred by an input channel is stored in the buffer. After the data transfer, the processor accesses the data from the buffer. Now, output buffering. In output buffering, processor stores the data in a buffer. Output device takes the data from the buffer. Now, because of these three reasons, buffering is happening. To cope with the speed mismatch between the producer and the consumers of a data streams, to adapt between devices that have different data transfer sizes, and to support copy semantics for application of input or output.